Hello and welcome to Krackpots We Met Downstairs, brought to you by Krackpots Comedy Club in Massillon, Ohio, with special thanks to Funny Noise Bookings in Massillon, Ohio, and Dinda Mo's unique chocolates, which you can find at Krackpots Comedy Club in Massillon, Ohio. Today, I am with Randy Legend. All the applause! So, Randy, we're here at Crackpots. We are on the second floor in an old radio
Looks
recording.
like we're in Beirut.
It's a little
bombed out.
It's a little cavey. We're doing renovations. More on that later. But
We're doing this by candlelight.
Yeah,
Actually,
candlelight.
Phone light, but
My flashlights on my phones. I have two phones. I'm not a drug dealer. I just have two phones. Don't ask questions. It's fine.
where's your burner?
No, actually, my mom got me the second phone. It's a whole thing. We can explain after the intros.
Oh.
This isn't about me. This is about you, Mr. Legend. So tell me, describe the vibes. What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm kind of a Renaissance guy. Did the corporate world when I got out of college, and well, first of all, I did a little stop in radio, and I decided I didn't want to do radio because I was at a news talk station. Oddly enough, I don't know how they got away with this. They were called KCNN, Oklahoma City. They weren't any affiliation with CNN.
Interesting.
And so I did my internship there, and it was wonderful. I did news reporting. I was a talk show assistant. I wrote commercials, blah, blah, blah. And but after a year, they decided they were bankrupt, and they sent me up to the FM side, which was KXXY, a country station, and I was making laminated cards for fans called country club cards, and so I quit. I left on a Friday. I came in on a Monday. No one was there, and they basically gave the staff a choice. Half of them went to the sister station in Kansas City, and the other half was sent packing. And I went, grew up a military kid, might need a little more stability. So anyway, I jumped into the corporate world for about 10, 11 years. Then I taught college for 10 or 11 years. My folks had passed away, and I decided, I'm going to jump into what I want to do. So I was doing theater, and that was during COVID, and theater was shut down an extra year. And so I had an opportunity to get into film. So I started acting and producing films, and I was writing songs. And then I started doing comedy in January. So I almost have a year in. So that's where we're at right now.
That's so cool.
Behind the music.
Yeah, behind the music, behind the scenes, behind the stand-ups. That's awesome. You've done a lot of creative work.
Yes.
That's awesome. Am I being too loud? This looks like I keep peaking. I'm not trying to be too loud, but I think the microphone might be too close to me, so I'm just going to scooch
It's a
that.
peak performance.
Peak performance.
That's where you want to be, 110%.
110% all the time, just maxing out.
You're a 110% recording artist.
110% all the way. Look at all those lines. That's going to be awesome for me to mix later. Fantastic.
Wow, that looks like my heartbeat after a couple of cappuccinos.
What kind of cappuccinos do you get? Do you have a particular order?
Listen, I just bought a $40 espresso machine with a steamer on Amazon, and I do the whole thing where I put the coffee in the cup and level it off, and then put that up in there and turn that handle, and I steam the milk and the whole thing. So I'm like I'm an emergency barista if any coffee shop needs someone at the last minute. I love baristas. They're my friends, and they provide emotional support to me, and I buy coffee, and they provide friendship, and so sometimes I call them barista-toots. And
Barista-toots?
Yeah, it's legal. There's nothing immoral. And they give me what I want, which is coffee.
Always have pleasant transactions. Is that what you're implying? That's what you're telling me?
Yeah, that's a moral transaction. Yeah. Hello, Grandma. She's dead. She doesn't care.
Oh, that's unfortunate. My condolences.
She had Alzheimer's, but I want to tell you something. She grew up, her and my grandfather had a giant farm in Oklahoma, and they raised cattle. And she didn't know who I was when I visited her the last time, but she was at cattle auctions, and so she looked at me and she goes, "You're 305.2 pounds." I swear to God, I'd gotten on the scale that day and I was 305.2 pounds.
Dang. Dang.
So that woman, her mind was going, but she still was able to conduct agricultural and livestock commerce, so that was good.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot. No, but I've heard a lot of like people like suffering from Alzheimer's. Like their memories are gone, but they still can they can still do a lot of things. Like there was this lady, and I don't know where she was at, but she still played the piano. Like she was like, I don't know if she was like classically trained or she just learned as a kid, but like no, she would play the piano every day. Like every morning she'd go up and then she'd play what she would remember, and that part of the brain doesn't like get affected, or it's not affected in the same way as like
I think
memories and stuff.
what it could be possibly. Okay, so for her, before she went really bad, it was 1980s on the farm was what she would remember. So she would ask about my grandfather who had passed on. 2007, which was the year my father died, and then she was good for about 2 weeks. And which essentially for all of us is about normal. If you can remember what you've done the last 2 weeks, you're a functioning human being. You can't remember did you have a sugar cube or did you have a drip of honey on 4 months ago at whatever? Did you write a note on this, or did you turn left at this intersection? We all have a type of dementia or Alzheimer's. We only remember so much, but you got to have that memory for a while to keep your identity. But what I learned I had another family member that suffered from that too. What I learned is I would warm their brain up. So I would start with their childhood. Those are the memories that are burned on that brain hard drive. And you start with their childhood, and then you kind of move through their life and you see where they're at. Did they stop in the 90s in the grunge era, or are they up to in sync, or did they stop at 2023, or are they at 1923? So but I think you start way back when they were children. Those are the last brain functions that dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's a tragic disease because the brain slowly dissolves and they lose their identity. But my rule of thumb is you live with them wherever they're at. They're in the 80s or early 2000s or 2 weeks ago. That's their reality, and that's where I live with them. So I time travel I've time traveled with family members.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that's actually the way to do it. You just kind of yes and through the conversations and stuff, because you don't want to, if you try to convince them like, hey, like that happened a long time ago, they don't really believe you, and then
Grandpa's still alive.
Yeah, it just makes them like you just upset them, so you kind of have to like take an improv class, right. I guess.
That's their reality, and so that's what's true for them.
Yeah.
But isn't it that way, as people get older, someone hits 50 and they get out of bed and they pull a muscle for no reason. So they have to ask themselves, is this something I could stretch out? Do I need ointment? Do I have to wrap it? Do I have to use that KT tape that beach volleyballers use?
Yeah.
Like, what is that strip of tape?
Yeah.
That athletic tape. So we all have to adapt. You wake up in the morning, your voice is sore from singing the night before. So you have to kind of take it easy. So you hike for 10 miles, you're going to be sore. So we're all adapting every day.
Yeah, I get that. I actually had a really bad tennis elbow when I was in high school, and I had to use that athletic tape, and everyone was pointing at my arm like, what's going on?
Isn't it great?
What did you do? I was like,
it's like modern science.
I have tennis elbow. It's not that big of a deal.
I tell you what I want when I'm 90. I want something that looks like a full wetsuit like what surfers wear, but it's got like a super thin exoskeleton. So if my calf's sore, I can dial it up 20% to support that muscle. If my back's sore, I can go with a 30. And this shoulder's a little sore, so I'm going to throw a 15% on there. And then you got these 90-year-olds that are just walking like they're 18 years old. That's the science I'm holding out for.
Maybe one day.
But I've had some spirit-filled family members. My mom went skydiving for the first time for her 70th birthday.
Oh, wow.
My dad started flying airplanes in his 60s.
Dang.
My German grandmother lived in the Alps. She was hiking in mountains and almost 80, so there's no excuse for me. It's like
Dang, very adventurous background.
yeah,
That's awesome.
late bloomers, we get around to it eventually, but
There's no right time to kind of like start that kind of stuff. Some people say that, but like, oh, I'm too old to be doing this. But like, are you really?
Oh yeah, you'll run into someone's 25 or 30 and they start bumming out and you're like, no, you're good.
Yeah.
And I found too your experiences like come in handy later. Like I enjoyed teaching, but I thought I was spinning my wheels, and then I went into comedy. But I found that teaching the comedy is a slight pivot, and none of that effort was wasted because I think it takes a while to get better as a comedian, but I think it kind of closes that gap. You kind of get on your feet a little quicker because being a teacher is like being a talk show host. You're instead of getting laughs, you're sharing material and you hope they get a light bulb of knowledge.
Yeah, so I've heard that.
You're kind of in the same business in a way,
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard a lot of, no, really, like there was that's where I found it from. It was an episode of The Golden Girls when no, what's her name? Not Blanche, the tallest substitute teacher. I can't remember her name, and I should know her name because she's my favorite character.
B. Arthur.
Yeah, B. Arthur. Yeah, B. Arthur. There was a whole episode of like, she works as a substitute teacher, and she tries her hand at stand-up, and then like she does the stand-up, she does well, but she ultimately decides like, no, I like being a substitute a little more than this, because at the end of my day, like if I'm subbing, hopefully the kids have learned something. So
and comedy's based on taking two opposite things and putting it together cleverly, or a turn of phrase. And I would do that when I taught. I taught a little bit of remedial math, and so kids didn't know how to do fractions. So I would come up with these little songs or clever things to teach them. So like when you're dividing a fraction, you flip the second fraction and you multiply, And so since we live in Northeast Ohio, we're near Akron, Kent, where the 80s new wave group Devo came from. I had a mathematical lyric that had to do with whip it,
Yeah.
So I said, when a fraction comes along, you must whip it. No, you must flip it.
Flip it, yeah.
Flip it good.
Hey, that's good.
And they would remember that, or I'd say, okay, when you're multiplying mixed fractions, you're Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2, and you're climbing up the red rocks. And so when you go this way, which is the multiplication, the denominator to the whole number, I said, it's real hard because you're free climbing with your hands. And I said, but when you get to this part, it's just a sliding climb. So you're adding a little more effort. And they would remember how to do mixed fractions.
That's awesome. When I was in grade school, my teachers also used, to help us with math, I think it was, I don't remember what we were doing. I think it was supposed to, like, basic, like, algebra or something with, like, the 4x plus this equals whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, remember the old Glade commercials, like, for the air fresheners, when they first did, like, the plug-in air fresheners, like, plug it in. That's
good. That's good.
Oh, that's so funny.
But commercials are just, they're real catchy. That group, The Darkness, I believe in a thing called love.
Yeah.
That guy wrote a lot of, commercials, and he did a lot of ditties, and that's how he made his money for a while. But I could still remember some commercials even back in the 70s when I was a kid, It was like, there was one for deodorant, I think it was Sure, and it was like, take off your coats, America, take off your coats to shore. Seems whatever you do, that look just comes through. It's confidence, millions of people each day, whatever.
Dang.
Do you remember a group Rockapella that was on Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
I don't know if I've ever watched Where in the World was Carmen Sandiego. I've heard of her. I think, was that it was a board game when I was a kid.
Yes.
That was the thing, but I've never.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever watched it.
I cover a lot of TV history, so I talk to people. It's like they never heard of a show I'll talk about. It's like that's okay. I get it.
Yeah, I had a similar thing because one summer when we were on vacation, my sisters were like they would mention a show and then I would like sing the theme song for it. They were like Cartoon Network, like, you know, Cartoon Network shows. So my sister just found a list of old Cartoon Network shows and she was just announcing the titles and then I would sing the theme. Yeah, and some of them were like super obscure. Like, so she was surprised at some of the things that I remembered. She's like, how do you remember that show? No one knows that show. And I was like, well, I remember the theme song. I don't know anything else about it.
I think they need to add that when you do your music appreciation class in college. You know, they need to add a chapter on TV themes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they have an impact on people.
If they don't have an impact, then like you can't. Everything about the television show is like that's marketing. The TV show itself is like that's the product, right? Mm-hmm. But then you still have to make it like appealing, you know, to make sure everybody knows about it. So you have the advertisements of like, hey, watch this show on Cartoon Network, whenever. But then you also need to introduce people when they sit down to watch it. You have to pull their attention, you know, pretty soon. The best way to do that is to have a really killer theme song. There are people who like, yeah, I hated this show. Like, this show was bad. But the theme song was so good. Like, everybody's like, yeah, it came famous in a way. Well, like, it's very popular.
Back in the day, some of those TV show themes would chart on Billboard, you know. It'd be instrumental in their instrumental songs, but they would chart for a while, you know, like number 30 or whatever. And I'm like, that's incredible for just a TV show with no lyrics.
And the TV show that also, the theme song also kind of introduces people to like the show itself, you know, because there are also, some of them are more like on the nose than others, some of them are just like the vibes, and the other thing was like, oh, Jenna Fantaby was just 14 and his parents built a very strange machine, right? He's like a ghost boy, and just explaining how he's a ghost boy, right? But then there are other ones that just kind of just like set the vibe, you know what I mean? So yeah, having a good theme song is very, very important.
Now, do you think they're getting longer now? Because for a while in the 90s, it was just boop, 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 boop. And that was it. In the 80s, it was like these big, long 3-minute single releases, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and then for a while in the 90s, you know, like Seinfeld and Frasier is just
yeah, just
you know,
like
those kind of things. And so are they expanding a little bit now?
I think it depends on the show. So what I had seen, they will have a theme song. It's usually written for the show itself, even if they licensed it out, it has like a full version, like a full like 3.5 minute version. Like it's an actual song, but they cut it down for the introduction. So something like, we're shifting gears from the cartoons, but Royal Pains was a doctor show that I watched with my mom a lot. So they had
watched that one.
Yeah, so I knew they had the opening theme song, but they also had like a full length version. Or Psycho's another one. You know, they had the shorter version, the theme song version, but they had a longer version. Yeah, they had like a second verse to it, second verse and like a bridge and stuff. Like they
had the love theme and the acoustic version and the techno version.
God, I love Psych. Oh, it was such a good show. I love Psych.
Psych was filmed in Santa Barbara. My sister lived in Santa Barbara. Beautiful place. You know, if you can avoid the fires and the mudslides and
it's the
high cost of living, but
the
it's
world. That's from the Psych musical episode.
Yeah, they used to have cartoons with all the like Avengers characters. You know, they had the Spider-Man does whatever a spider can.
Yeah.
And then what else they had? They had when Captain America throws his mighty shield, do the forces of evil, but yield. It's the red and the white and the blue. There's a whole. Those are the songs I'm going to sing when I have Alzheimer's and we're going back to my childhood memories that are still on the hard drive.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be singing 60s and 70s and 80s TV theme songs.
Yeah, nice.
So, I don't know. So how long have you been in comedy now?
That's a good question. I had been doing comedy, some of it, I started when I was in college. I was my capstone that's like my final project for film
senior,
school.
yeah.
Was I think it was like 20 or 30-minute documentary of me learning how to do stand-up comedy.
Oh, nice.
And then I performed live on stage for the first time and filmed it. And that was my capstone. And then I kept doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Until I actually made it, one of the other clubs, like I made it to their like semifinals for their like, stand-up competition.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened and the world shut down. So I
a little inconvenient, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, extremely. And then I got a job working third shift. And so I was on hiatus for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then, life changed, circumstances changed beyond my control. Quit that job, moved back home, and now I think this summer I got back into it, so I got off of hiatus. So it's been a few months, but
I think COVID changed a lot of things for sure. I think it probably sped up the struggles that movie theaters are having. People got used to being at home and having food delivered, and streaming exploded, and so I think one of the challenges of theater is, the price for what you can get tickets for. You can do streaming for a month. So, and a lot of the good material now is like on streaming, a lot of the good scripts and stuff like that. So, But I think COVID was part of that. There were a lot of course it shut everything down, including like churches, but I think a bunch of churches in the United States kind of upgraded all their audio equipment and started doing streaming.
I heard streaming got a lot of churches were streaming their sermons and stuff. Yeah.
Podcast equipment, cameras, audio, that I think that industry probably benefited, but yeah, everyone went from the 70s to the 2020s.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think,
hello, my baby. Hello, my baby.
I know that, yeah. Hello, my ragtime gal.
They have one of those 1920s radio things, Today we're studying from the Book of Mark, Now it's like, today we're studying from the Book of Mark,
Yeah.
Hey, can you cut back on that compression a little bit?
Yeah, no.
Sound like Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Hey, Billy, I love your podcast. Just kidding.
I like the Smashing Pumpkins. They're good.
They're refreshing.
Cool. Yeah, COVID did change a lot, I think. I worked throughout COVID. I was an essential worker. So I actually...
You were an essential
worker? Yeah, I
worker?
was an essential worker. I was the third shift security guard at a retirement community. So I had to go in. It was a one-man post. I had to be there.
You had to make sure the patients didn't escape and see their families.
Not really. It's funny that you mentioned escaping. I don't think I could get into those stories.
I kid.
But no. Well, mainly I just made sure everybody was like okay. Occasionally I had to call like an ambulance and stuff, but
Hey, I ran into a escaped home care guy. He was old folks home. I don't know what the proper term is. I was in my convertible one this summer, and I was driving up a road I'd never been down, and this guy comes flying down the road in his motorized wheelchair. And I slowed down. I said, "Hey, this sure looks like living, don't it? It's a nice day outside." He says, "Yeah." So we chatted for a while, and he goes, "Well, gotta go." I turned a corner, and there was personnel running down the street trying to catch him. He had escaped from the place, and I was like, "Run, brother, run! You can still rock in America.
Okay.
Never let them catch you."
Oh no!
And then I realized that's probably going to be me in about 30 years. So.
Dang.
So we had a moment. It was wonderful.
That's funny. It's funny that you bought the staff some time to catch him. Maybe he could have gotten away if you didn't pull over and have a conversation with him.
I wonder if someone, if he had snuck into the janitor's closet, got some tools, and kind of souped that thing up.
Maybe.
I think he had overclocked it, or he got in there and overclocked one of the computers on his chair or something. I don't know. Speaking of which, what do you think of AI and where AI is going to take us? Are we going to become mindless robots? Or...
Well, okay.
Here is my opinion. It was given to me. Are we going to have Neuralink, and we're going to get a voice in our head, and it's going to say, "Punch that person"?
That's a good question. I don't know how far we're going to get with like Neuralink and that kind of stuff. Theoretically, it could happen, but is it gonna happen in our life, in your lifetime or my lifetime? Like, I don't know. If it does happen in my lifetime, like, it's gonna take a while to trickle down before anybody in my tax bracket can afford it, in my opinion. That's just me. But
I mean, I plug in my Roombas and everything, but
Right.
that's I don't want anything plugged in on me, you know.
Right, yeah.
Unless I got a rechargeable knee replacement or something.
Rechargeable knee replacement.
You're like
That's
the
funny.
$6 million man. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, we're doing another thing.
That's funny. No, yeah, I don't know how fast the technology for like implant. Like I said, I don't know how fast
We're heading for
Neuralink
the
is gonna like
singularity,
happening.
like we're heading for Niagara Falls.
It's yeah, I don't know enough about it to see like is that actually gonna happen in my lifetime. I will say I don't use AI for any of the content that I make. I keep it very human based, and I don't really see a benefit in using AI for like the arts, because you're not creating anything. It's just smashing a bunch of stuff together and then spitting it back out. It's not anything new. It's not anything that hasn't already been done before. And I know there are people who like swear by using AI. It's like AI helps fill in the gaps that I that I can't fill by myself. But one, you can learn how to draw. You can learn how to sing. You can learn how to play an instrument. You know what I mean? Like, these are not...
It's a process.
It's a process, and it's... Learning a new skill takes time, and it takes energy, but you can do it. There's nothing stopping you from learning how to do that. There are also plenty of creatives who can fill in the gaps if you need a gap to be filled, like, immediately. If you're writing, stories, but you can't really draw, you don't know how to draw, like, you can find an illustrator. You can find somebody who can compose music if you need background music, if you need a score. There are people who can help you with that, and it's gonna sound a lot better and a lot more organic than something that was chewed up and spit out by a computer. You know what I mean? I have heard of some AI can be very helpful in the medical field, so like kind of helping to diagnose and kind of see, specifically for like cancer cells and whatever, like seeing which cells are most likely to become cancerous, or if there's like a potential for cancer to develop, that kind of thing. Again, I don't have too much information on that, but I have heard that that's like a thing. If that can help health-wise, like, that's cool. Do that, but stay out of the arts, please. Like, I don't see...
I think you're probably going to see, occupations like lawyers, trying to ban it, kind of stuff. Because it's law knowledge, and I've used AI to, like, research people. I have a friend that's an actor, and I know a lot about his life and how he grew up and all that. So I was testing AI, and it was hallucinating. It was creating up false
that's another thing.
facts.
That's another thing. All like the chat bots and stuff, they're not as helpful as people think they are. They just make stuff up, or they're missing information. And there are a lot of people who are having like major mental health problems right now because these AI bots, they are designed so that you keep using them. They don't want you to log off.
Oh, so they kind of agree with you.
Yeah, they essentially become like a yes man. And when you're going to, these kind of bots looking for like mental health help, they're either not helpful at all, or they can help feed into like delusions of like grandeur and stuff.
Well, and then
they don't...
Yeah, they'll bleed too. Like, you almost have to close it and then reopen it. Like, I'll be asking it, like, okay, what are some of the best flavors of ice cream? And then I'll say, hey, how do you combat, OCD? Is it exposure therapy or whatever? And then it won't distinguish between the two. It'll put the theme together. So it'll say, the way you get over OCD is to have 1 scoop of cherry and 1 scoop of Hitler Ripple ice cream, and you lick vigorously while you're doing exposure therapy. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Dang.
So you have to close the app and then reopen it so it's fresh.
I've never used any of those. I wouldn't know. I've just heard a lot of like people are not doing well with the AIs, and the AIs are not really as helpful as people
I made some
claim to
virtual
be.
assistants. Like I had a financial person, and I had a second agent, I had a publicist, and and they worked for a while, but then I had to fire all of them. But I wasn't paying them anything, so it was a fair deal.
Okay.
But they were good for research, but it's like anything else, you gotta check yourself. But here's the thing anyway, what can we believe today? Can you believe the news? Can you believe science? Because there's financial transactions going there. What's the flavor of the week for research? And so those are the ones getting supported by money. But if you have a contrary view, like, you don't get funded, so it's hard to know what to believe anymore. You have to start at the basics, like, okay, if I drop this pin, it's gravity. Hey, speak of the devil and angels will appear.
We have friends. Friends have joined us today.
We have guests.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
This is Jordan Barry.
Hi, Jordan. Nice
Hello,
to meet
Jordan.
you.
He's coming up to let you guys do an interview with him.
All right,
out of-
awesome.
He's out of Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm going to leave him with you.
Alrighty, well, I'm gonna
All right, well-
thank you so much, Ryan. That's Ryan Rogers, everybody. Just said hi. Just say hey to everybody. Alrighty, well, it looks like this episode of Krackpots We Met Downstairs is at an end, so we're gonna let Randy go. Randy, thank you so much for having me, coming
All right.
over. I said thank you for having me. I'm the host. Actually, my name is Rebecca Marcoulin. I don't think I introduced myself in the intro. My name is Rebecca Marcoulin. If you want to kind of see, Randy Legend is a comedian here. He performs at Krackpots a lot. If you would like to come to a live show, check out our schedules at crackpotscomedyclub.com. See what strikes your fancy. If you come in on a Friday or Saturday show, tell them Rebecca sent you, and you'll get $5 off your check.
And if you want to see some of the movies I've been in or produced, I'm on IMDb under Randy Legend. Good night.
Oh, heck yeah. Definitely check out Randy. That's awesome. And then we are, as I mentioned earlier, we are recording in a old radio studio, actually, above Krackpots Comedy Club. If you would like to rent out a little cubicle guy to record, reach out to funnynoisebookings@gmail.com. If you come in to Krackpots, you got to check out Dinda Mo's Unique Chocolates. She's got a little booth right as you come in, not quite as you come in the corner. You'll find it. You'll know where it's at. And you can also order Pigs in Mud, which is like a little chocolate brownie. It's shaped like a little piggy, and then it's covered in chocolate, and then it's got chocolate syrup. It is so good, you guys. Definitely check that out. Yep, that's the outro. Have a good day. Bye.